Great. Welcome, everyone. It's been a beautiful, beautiful day so far. We have a few more sessions. We're a little bit behind on schedule, but the other session kind of took a bit more time. Today we have Maya Abu Shdid. She is a medicine woman and a shamanic healer, and she has a wealth of information. Like I can share so much about Maya, from Eastern philosophies and practices to spending several years in the Amazon jungle and immersing herself in tree dietas and traditional shamanic ceremonies with local maestros. I feel like you could share so much about that and like your experience there, and that would be so interesting. She's also been leading moon ceremonies, solstice and equinox gatherings, and plant medicine ceremonies. Now, her approach to ceremonies, especially those involving master plants and mycelium, if I'm saying that correctly, is rooted in a strong emphasis on thorough preparation before entering sacred space. And this is really what Maya wants to share today. How do we enter sacred ceremony? So you're going to provide a general intro to help you guys prepare for ceremony. Is it for you? Is it not? If you've done one, then what happens? So Maya, the floor is yours. I'm really grateful to have you here and to have people tune into your transmission today.
Hello, Maria. Thank you. Thank you for relaying and mediating and being truly one of the examples for the bridging that we need to establish more of. And this is one thing that I was praying for many, many years. And I was also trying to do in different ways. Welcome, everybody. I am honored to being here and humbled. Also because of a session that I also attended an hour ago. I feel that the intention of coming together in this summit is really coming from the heart. And nice to see your faces. And I think as we're going deeper into the summit, the heart is being more touched. And probably the concept of time is diluting. It's like, whoop, 1 hour is gone and we want to share so much. And at the same time, there's a lot of silence and a lot of ineffability, no words to everything that we are witnessing and experiencing. I would like to start with a little landing together. As you move from one session to another, or as you're dropping in now, I always like to come into a space that is sacred, is to be in a circle. So I invite you all, if possible, to, if you want, keep your cameras on. If you want, keep your cameras off. And allow maybe some time to come together. We're connecting and communicating through this web that is a virtual web, but we can always touch on being together in person. And this is what I would do in person as well, so there's no difference. So I would like to invite you to close your eyes and with everything happening with you, with everything you don't want to show, with everything that is coming up in terms of grief, shame, anger, rage, allow yourself to be joining a circle together. So maybe see yourself individuated on your own, in your room, not able probably to move, or maybe able to move a little bit. Being frozen or being in fight or flight response. Allow yourself to just imagine that for a moment you're stepping fully into coming into a circle together on a piece of land that we love. And with that, you bring with you the wise elders of your own land, the past and the future ones, not only the past ones, and not the traumatized ones. Calling on the wise elders of every land, wherever you're joining from, including your loved ones, wherever they are. And as we're approaching this circle formation, there's probably a sense of, do I really want to be with others? Do I really want to be seen? Do I really want to expose everything that is happening with me, including the pain that I'm feeling, including the defense, including the fighting? And I, for a moment, allow myself to come into this circle, shivering maybe, or maybe with full strength to prove something.
Maya, by the way, your volume went a bit low.
Okay, thank you. And as we are getting closer to forming a circle together, being accompanied by the elders, the wise elders of every land, we come together to join hands. We come together to feel the warmth of the hand that we are meeting with, without knowing who that person is. And without that person knowing who we are. We're joining to feel the warmth in the icy cold depth of the abyss that we are in. There's always warmth. And as we join hands to form this circle along with all the teachers of this summit who have been amazing, and everyone that attended before and everyone that will attend until the end of the summit and further, it's a big, big circle. And we start touching on the hand that is on our left side and the hand that is on our right side. And we stand with our feet on the ground as the earth welcomes us, as she always does. Whatever we do to the earth, she's always here nourishing us. She never stops. The air that we're still breathing never stops. To the murderer and the victim, everyone breathes. And at the center of the circle, as the circle forms, the fire starts, the heart, the heart of the circle. And the heart of the circle. And we come here all on one level together with all our stories, with all our narratives. And the circle is formed with the guardians of the East, where the sun rises, where there's new beginnings, as we are from the East. And we meet with the West, where everything ends and the sun sets down for the night to arise, and it's welcome. And in the South, where the wounding of our land, where there has been no boundaries, can there be any formed today within us in our own South? And with the guardians of the North, the elders, the wisdom keepers, the ones that are always watching over us, the ones that never leave, the ones that have always been there and will always be, the ones that whisper in our ears in times of distress and distress. Calling as we open the gateway of above, Father Sky, what we always have perceived as Allah. Allah is everywhere, not only above us. It is also in the earth, in the trees, in every living being, and in us. Opening the gateway of below, the mother, the underworld, the dark that is always scary to be in. Yet wherever we go and however deep we go, in the times of loss, we are always held. We bring everything to space, the unseen, the unaccepted, the enemy that we perceive outside of us. Everything is welcome as a guest. And as we are in this circle, we're being present with what we are feeling and also being present with the circle. The circle always holds the circle within and the circle around us. And for a moment, maybe we can check in with our bodies, with the pains, with the aches, with the lack of sleep, with anxiety, with everything that is arising in the body. Can we allow spaciousness? Can we allow more space within? For everything to just be, for every constricting energy, including fear, doubt, separation, isolation, to be here with us. For the universe that we explore around us is within. And can we be with every cell that is pulsating life and every cell that is also dying? Can we embrace both death and life together? And very slowly, at your own time, maybe if you feel like keeping your eyes closed and receiving. Receiving with also a sense of checking in, receiving with questioning, receiving with raising. Does that feel right for me? And if it doesn't, why? Why it does not? Because there's an innate ability to also feel what's right for you. And if there's any defense that comes up, allow it as well. And very slowly coming to maybe joining again. If you feel like starting your camera, I struggle sometimes with being on camera online because I don't want to be seen, especially when I'm feeling vulnerable. And lately I've been taking this course with international number of people, especially from the West, and I was not able to be on camera. But because we are meeting with the intention of a summit to touch on the phoenix, the energy of the phoenix, and I know some people speak to the phoenix as khalas, we're done with the phoenix has burned. We're done with the phoenix. Let the phoenix stay in the ashes. And how amazing it is, and not amazing, to see the cycles of the same phoenix burning and burning and burning over and over again. To getting, yeah, phoenix, yeah, habibi, when are you gonna rise again? Right? And I would like to share a little bit about part of my journey in the depth of darkness. I'm going to share it briefly before talking a little bit to preparation for ceremony. In times when I felt the loneliest were the times when I was in those spaces where I felt I lost everything. I thought I lost everything. And I believed it. and I welcomed death. And I'm like, death, let's hang out together. And so I was in a space that was filled with skeletons, shamanically. The space we are in at the moment is already an altered space. We are in ceremony at the moment. We are navigating what some people, unfortunately, but also, that's the trend, call it a bad trip. It's a bad trip. I would call it a proper ceremony. It's navigating those spaces where there's a lot of twists and turns, where the underworld feels like hell. And if we don't welcome that, we're fighting to bring ourselves up to the surface all the time, right? We want to take that breath of air. But in the depth of those spaces, we learn to breathe. We remember to breathe. When we touch again on the instinctual, deep root of who we are as human beings, the body's wisdom will remind us to breathe. Because I can tell you something. If you're not meant to be here, you would have left. The thing is to really feel the pain is the challenge and has been the challenge. And how can we feel the pain that now we are in individually and collectively? Because now it's not an individual pain. It's a multi-layered, hidden, ancestral, hundreds and hundreds of years of living on a land where there was always grace, there was always connection and love. At the same time, there was a lot of hidden stuff. There was shame. There was a lot of aib. Shove it down. And what we're dealing with now, really, one of the perspectives is the blasting of all of those and how much brutality can we handle? And how many heartbreaks can we go through for the light to shine through? A part of me is relieved that we are going through this together because it's time. And for years in Lebanon, I was working with people with the intention to remind them to love the land. Love the land. Love the land. That's ceremony. It's not going to frickin' Saturn and Jupiter and the moon and your past lives and your future lives. And if you were Mary Magdalene or you were Jesus, it's here. What are we here in this lifetime? And all the other ones, but let's deal with what we are here dealing with. And navigating ceremony. Why are we in an altered space already? We don't need to take mushrooms. We don't need to take ayahuasca. We don't need to smoke cannabis, maybe to numb a little bit, but ahlan. Because the amount of pain is shifts the psyche to going into an altered space. It's not a normal state. It's an out of normality state where the concept of time is lost, where am I in space, where I want to be here, I don't want to be here. All of that is what can happen in ceremony. All of it. Everything we are going through now is very ceremonial. Very much like closing in or being so empathic that one is overwhelmed and feeling the whole room in the space and everyone that is puking or not puking. Same concept. Until something comes out, until we express, until we relay what we need to say. Silence is one of the moments or one of the spaces that when we drop into, we know. We know. We know what is coming up, and we know the struggle inside. And the plant usually adds on it to bring it more forth, to amplify it, to bring it more into 5D, because this is what, psychoactive plants do. So in the depth of those abysses that I went through, one of the things that I wanted to do, especially in Lebanon, is to avoid the pain to others. Like, can we do things differently? So that, because we don't want to, let's not go into the wall. And the resistance, because of the rigidity also of the belief systems and everything that we've been taught, and there's no blame here. There's the lenses that they've been put on us through religion, through politics, through belonging to a part or party, so that we feel that we are seen. And if there's anything in our part of the world, if there's any common wound, is to be seen. We want to be seen. We're worthy to be seen. And we're trying all the time to prove to the Western world that, hey, look at us. We're here. And everything that has been happening is to tell us, you need to look at your own self. You need to see each other. Yani, in other words, it has been proven through different trials that it's not working. It's like those invalid, like you push the button and it's like, that country, no, for a while it works. And how can we ask for others to look and see us who haven't been indigenous from lands? We're indigenous. Yes, in Lebanon, we're more, between both worlds, because this is one of our thing. It's like polyvalent, we're like many things. At the same time, we touched on separation so much that it's reflected in front of us so much. And it's like right here in front of our eyes and telling us, so what do you want to do now? What do you want to do now? What do you want to do now? And this is also what happens in ceremony. We see stuff, we feel stuff. And it's like, what is your choice now? And the choice doesn't have to be about anything like anyone else. The choice is yours and in line with your own inner truth. What does that mean, inner truth? Higher self, everything that is above us. It's inside. And to touch on that space, the deep dives are needed. The pain is meant to be felt. Now, what we deal with in that navigation is how addicted we are to pain. How much in our identity, if we're not feeling pain, then we do not exist. And that merger, how much of it in the identity can really alchemize, shift the geometry of our inner world so that we welcome pain as a teacher. Everything that is happening around us is teaching us in the most brutal way. Everything. And we are distracted trying to convince others, hey, you need to see this. And it's like, you need to see this. Like, I need to see this. when we really embrace what is showing up for us, there's no need to convince anybody. And this is part of the preparation for ceremony. And you know, when Maria asked me to choose a theme, I'm like, what theme can I choose? This hadn't started yet, or it was starting, but somehow in action it did not start, because everything happens in the energetic world before it happens in the physical world. And when I speak to the depth of the silence and the knowing in that deep silence, confirmation comes afterwards. And that's where the mind is going through a lot. And to drop a bit deeper is what we're being invited over and over and over again to do. So preparation for ceremony. Ceremony doesn't have to include plant medicine. Ceremony used to be done in our part of the world profusely. Ceremony is the basis of every religious ritual that was copied on the basis of ceremony, including the offerings. Symbolic, everything is symbolic. The beauty of the sermons and the rituals is the intention behind them. And when it comes to preparing for ceremony, it's very much about tapping into how am I approaching ceremony? Why am I approaching ceremony? And I've been watching for years why people were approaching ceremony to run away from the reality. Because somehow deep inside, we knew that shit is going to hit the fan. And with shit hitting the fan hit the shit as well. It's like it happened both ways. Alhamdulillah يعني إنه لا مش shit hit the fan كمان the fan came along and it's like let's fan and do whatever we need to kill everything is happening. And it's like, okay, you know, in the depth of that muck, right? When can I be still and not fight those thick sands, moving sands? Because the more we fight, the more we're going to drown, the more we feel separated, the more we're calm, not because I have to be calm and zen and the Buddha says this and I don't know who said this and this whoever person looked like she's calm. Oh Maya, you're very grounded. I don't know how I'm very grounded, but because I gave up. Like I go into warrior mode sometimes. Like it's like I have to express that inner warrior because it's embedded, it's there, and it's so beautiful. At the same time, it wants to just burn everything. So what is the choice? Do I want to burn everything? Or I want to use that energy of the warrior to stand and speak my truth. And everyone has every archetype in them. And the gift in everyone is to tap into what is the most aligned way for me to express myself without competition, without trying to subdue myself and or the other. Because when we are living in subduing mode, yani oppression mode, the oppressor is going to be in the salon. Yani it's going to be like with us and reflected to us in a way that is like, hey, I'm here and I'm going to be the extreme of extremists. And we're like looking at that oppressor and we're like, this guy is crazy. Of course he's crazy. He's nuts. He's insane. Still, what is he teaching me? What is sane? And how can we look at being together without oppressing neither ourselves nor anyone else? The supremacy is within us. The hierarchy is within us. And this is what many people talk to as the wounded masculine. I would say the wounded masculine. The sacred masculine is beautiful, beautiful. And there are more men stepping into that energy, and it's beautiful to watch. And the wounded feminine, holy cow, how much competition there is there. And why? And the sacred feminine is not only about love and, cuddle puddles and, everything around that. And there's always a sarcastic part in me, and I learned to embrace it. It's really women looking at each other and embracing each other in their totality. But if I'm not able to embrace myself, and totality is not like, no, you get to a point where it's like, khalas, I have embraced myself totally and I'm done with that. No, it's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing journey of really meeting self again and again and again. And in stages of life, we go through stages of life. From being a newborn to being a kid, to being a teenager, to being a man, to being a woman. These haven't been anymore celebrated. These are ceremonial, preparing to become an adult. How many men do we see around us where the 7-year-old is still acting out? How many women? How many of us acting out instead of being welcomed? And I raise both hands here, like tantrums. And it's okay. The thing is, when we are stepping into healing, or what the world of healing is about, it's really embracing every aspect as we are in ceremony and as every ceremony teaches us. Preparing for ceremony is preparing and sacred. I chose the word sacred somehow. Sacred is muqaddas, right? And it comes from the Qudus, right? It's fascinating, the Arabic language, because the sanctuary is a symbolism. It's not a place only. It's the symbolism of a place. And the symbolism is the Qudus inside me, not only the place. And that's literally an expression of how disconnected have we been from the sacred within for a land to be invaded and for us to be invaded. We are so used to being invaded that we don't know what's boundaries. We are so used to being in the collective that we don't know how to be. And when we say how to be, we always copy something else. Oh, but this told me how to be, and this told me how to be, and this book. And I love this book, and it's great. But this book is written by authors that are reflecting their own perspective of something. What has this book changed within? And how can I meet myself through that teaching? And so we've been copying the whole time. We've been transcribing and translating because we are translators, right? This is part of who we are. At the same time, like the flexibility that we have is amazing. At the same time, the rigidity of belief systems is like so deeply embedded in, yes, values, yes, food, and also, I am this. We scratch the surface like, I am this. It's like, how can we feel that we are one? How can we manifest it? And preparation before ceremony is literally a reflection for integration after ceremony. It's the ground, it's the soil that you plant seeds in. And usually, ceremony is a space of entering to be seen fully. And that's the role of the space holder. And preparation includes how I prepare for my day as well, to meet with the day. Everything, like preparation for ceremony is preparation to tap into the sacred every day. And sometimes we won't. And sometimes we tap into the darkest of figures. And if we don't see the sacred in it, then how can we see the expression of consciousness altogether? It's impossible. We can't. And unless we are really starting to embrace the unconscious expressing itself, we won't see more, which is what people usually seek in ceremony: the light, the love, the beauty, the ecstasy, the joy, which are wonderful, wonderful. The possibility, the potentiality. And that's the gap when we come back. And that's why preparing to go into ceremony brings more alignment to integration afterwards. And these two are more from the psychotherapeutic point of view. They're not shamanic. They're not shamanic. They're more like, preparation and integration in terms of approaches are more therapeutically perceived rather than spiritually perceived. Maybe I chose a better word now. And books that have been written about the dark night of the soul and talk to the warrior that leaves, that goes out of their comfort zone and goes into that liminal space unknown to come back to be met by their community. And neither the before nor the after is here. We're exploring community again. How can we meet with our community when we go through dark nights if the community is not welcoming us again? If the community is not working, each one on their own journey to welcome the hero, to welcome the heroine. That's why community is like collapsing. It's like, where's the community? People reach out to me, they're like, my community, I don't know, I'm going insane. I speak about what I'm feeling, and they're like, disengaged. Because the community, each member in the community, if they haven't gone through the depths of stuff, they won't welcome us. They will ban us, they will bash us. And we will feel isolated. And this is what's happening in the world of ceremony. This is what's really happening in the world of ceremony. That we're ingesting more and more plants. And the people who are embodying, who are being, real, more real, are rare, but are here. But the majority is not. And so we take plants. Part of preparing for ceremony is educating oneself about what we are ingesting. Most people don't know what they're ingesting. I've asked people who have done many ceremonies, what is in the brew? Have they ever told you what's in the brew of ayahuasca? They're like, no. And I'm like, you've done more than 10 ceremonies with those people. You never asked. And they're like, no, they say it's ayahuasca. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Oh, then, hey, let me take a part of your land. There you go. Same concept. When we don't question things, not out of offensiveness, but out of curiosity. hey, what is here? Tell me about it. Tell me about this plant. And mind you, the same ingredients of ayahuasca that has been transported all over the world, including in Lebanon, it's been 5 years people have been doing ayahuasca ceremonies in Lebanon. No one is in touch with me anymore. And I'm like, everyone who is calling out this mantra, we are one, where are they? Like, I'm looking for those people. We have the same plants in the Middle East. We have the acacia and the Syrian rue, but we lost the threads of that connection. It's the same equivalent ingredients, the 5-MeO-DMT that is in the capirona, I remember the name now, which is the leaf that is added to the vine of ayahuasca. And we have the Syrian rue that has the alkaloids. But we lost the thread, and it's been used in Persia. It's been used in different parts, in Jordan, in Lebanon. And it's not being used as an indigenous plant, or less used. So it's not about what plant am I ingesting. Part of the preparation is how am I educating myself around that? Can I ask the facilitators to explain to me? And it's not a quick thing. Preparation now has become like legitimately a phase before going into ceremony. Like if we tap into the latest research, and I'm taking a course about integration, preparation, ethics, even more. There has to be time for preparation, and not every plant is good for everybody. The pharmacology of the plants, the medication, the trauma of the person, all of it. You know, people are going and taking ibogaine, and it's like there's heart attacks happening with ibogaine, and no one is talking about them. People are dying. It's fine. Yeah, people are dying. I mean, people are dying is like the movie of the day every day. But this is how, as well as interesting ceremony is, preparation for it brings about the sacredness. What we call the set is the mindset of the person. How am I approaching? What is my intention? What is coming up for me at the moment? Not to fix it. Plants, ceremony does not fix you. It's not like again, plants are called the Ferrari of our world. It's like, oh no, you know, one ceremony replaced 10 years of therapy. That's crap. If you haven't gone through 10 years of therapy, you wouldn't have been able to go into ceremony. That's it. Now, your therapist, why they kept you for 10 years, which is super weird, by the way, I don't know. But that's another subject. So the set, we call it the set, the mindset of the person, the mindset of the being, the self. Not because my friend told me about it, not because it's a trend. I want to try it. Not only that, it's wonderful. And I want to belong to setting, the space, the environment. How are we ingesting? Where are we ingesting those super powerful plants? Thinking that we want to learn about them. You know, I hear people saying, I know what ayahuasca is. I'm like, dude, I've done 500 ceremonies of ayahuasca. I still don't know what ayahuasca is. What are you talking about? And this is the same thing related to the concept of control, the concept of ego wanting to take over, because also it's deeply rooted in the wounding. I want to be something. I want to be seen. So I become a shaman overnight or a trip sitter overnight, which is great because eventually those people are going to be exposed to challenges. that are gonna just put them in situations that are like, what is going on? It's gonna be a harder lesson, but they have to go through it. And so, yeah, setting is the environment, how safe it is, how much I trust people that are holding space, educated about them. And also, how much am I able to really tap into my own inner wisdom? Space holding is really about reminding you of the inner wisdom inside of you. It's not to become your teacher or your guru or anything. And so that's another thing. We can go much deeper into setting, but I'm noticing the time. Uh, thank you.
There's so much to say.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to touch on
There's
one more thing, Maria. It's support, setting and support. We have to have support before ceremony to have support after ceremony, not to isolate from the society. That's it. That's what I wanted to touch on. Thank you for listening, tuning in. There's a lot to talk about, but yeah, I'll stop here for now.
To talk about. Thank you for taking us on this journey with you and for sharing your wisdom with us. And I would love for us to continue this conversation, which we will be in the Lighthouse course. You're part of this. I'm so grateful to have you part of this, for you to take us deeper. Perhaps spending some time in setting the ceremony could be something that is really useful. And then integration and the importance of integration. We have prayers and chanting right now. So, we all can join that and agree that prayer and chants are super important. Laura's saying this is her favorite session. Thank you. Sal seems to have a very different opinion to everyone. And, I think it's all right for everybody to have different perspectives as well. And there is Julia that says that this was magic. Thank you for reminding us what ceremonies are about. And she's done plant medicine with you, and you've held beautiful space for her, and you guys organize beautiful retreats. I was just sharing as well that it feels very commercial. There's this feeling that they've no longer treat the plants in the ways that they are meant to be respected. I saw an article talking about ayahuasca becoming gummies. I was like, what do you mean? People are gonna take ayahuasca gummies and go to a rave? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't get
There's
it.
something now called chocolate bliss, which is cacao, mushrooms, and ayahuasca together.
Love it. Love.
Yeah, super cool.
Super cool. It's sarcastic, by the way. I'm also a pretty sarcastic person. So I hope to see you guys in the next session. Maya, thank you, thank you, thank you. Much
Thank you
love,
all.
guys. Thank you for joining this beautiful session.